So I guess when you see that something is doing well, you're like, let me carry on, and hopefully you're not doing any harm to people. In the deep crevices of my soul, it just didn't feel right. It took a while for me to finally get to that place where I had confidence in having timeless conversations outside of trends. If there's one thing I'm really grateful for this year in 2022, it's clarity of vision and the things that I want to do. Hello gorgeous people, welcome back to my channel once again, and in today's video we're doing a chit chat get ready with me. I know you guys really enjoyed these, and I do too. So we're going to have a lovely chin wag. As you can see from the title of the video, I'm going to be talking about why I stopped doing what's trending, gaining clarity surrounding my vision, the things I want to do, the things I want to achieve. So let's jump straight into this conversation. Let's start off with the brows. I'm not doing anything too extravagant in terms of my makeup today because we have quite a busy filming day ahead. So I want to maximize my time as much as possible. So let's just sharpen this because this has gotten a bit. And before we get into this video, how are you guys doing? If you don't leave any comment today, just let me know, let us know in the community how you're doing. Okay, so let's draw my brows. It's been a minute since I did my brows in terms of waxing or threading them actually, and I've just found that I don't need to wax them as often anymore, but maybe like 2 to 3 times a year. So maybe they are due now. Like, neat eyebrows aren't really the thing anymore, if that makes sense. We're more into the fluffy, natural looking eyebrows. So it's nice that those of us that have thicker eyebrows, we can kind of enjoy that trend a little bit. If you guys are familiar with my journey, you will know that one of the things that, really helped my channel to quote unquote blow at the time was trending topics. I used to do a segment called What's Trending. That's when the branding of the channel was still like an online TV network. It was called MoChunks TV. And I started off doing What's Trending, I believe like in my first year of university. I still remember the exact video. We were away for either my birthday or my sister's birthday. I know my mom used to be very intentional at the time with our birthdays when we were in uni. So I believe it was my birthday, and we went. She booked a hotel, and I did a video in the corner of the room, and my mom was actually reacting in the background. It was so funny. It was quite hilarious, where she was like, when I was talking about, some of the trends that were going on. So that was when I started What's Trending, but it didn't really take off like that until after university. And I remember it was the video surrounding the whole Terrell Lewis and Nikita breakup, I believe it was. And that's how a lot of people found me on the tube, or at the time found MoChunks TV. I think I'm gonna go grab my bathrobe. Okay guys, it was that video that kind of drew a lot of people. I'd never seen those kind of views on YouTube. I was like, wow. I think it got like 40k views or something like that. It was a bit, I was like, okay, maybe I should carry on doing this thing. So I guess when you see that something is doing well, you're like, let me carry on, and hopefully you're not doing any harm to people. But the funny thing is that as time went on, in the deep crevices of my soul, it just didn't feel right. Talking about people's situations and things that people were going through. There were many rebrands. Again, those of you that are familiar with the journey will know this, but there were many rebrands whereby I would go away. Oh, I've forgotten my eyeshadow. My eyeshadow! Let me go and get it. I'll be right back, guys. Got it. Yeah, guys, there were many rebrands of that particular segment, What's Trending, because I was just trying to make it work. I was trying to, I guess, justify it in my spirit or make it feel more comfortable. Although What's Trending was kind of what seemed like at the time. What seemed like at the time was bringing traction to my channel on a consistent basis as well, because that's really key. Although it was what used to bring, consistent traffic to my channel, it wasn't actually the genesis of my content creation. The genesis of my content creation was fashion and chit chat with Mo. If you go back to like my Instagram, I used to do hashtag chit chat with Mo. We used to talk different topics on Twitter, Instagram, on a weekly basis. It used to be on a Sunday. I remember it, It was on a Sunday. So what's trending was bringing me traction. You know that dilemma, you're like, this is what you really want to do. But then this thing, even though it's not meshing right with you, it's doing really well. So there were many rebrands where I was trying to make it more like Chit Chat with Mo, where I was trying to make sure that I'm not like cussing people out or I'm not being mean. You know how regular gossip blogs do their blogs, but that's another thing. It just always felt like gossip, no matter how much I tried to justify discussing these topics, even if I used a lot of nuance and I was very positive. At some point I even tried to focus on just doing positive news. I think that's probably the one that felt the best in terms of in alignment with my soul and the things that I'm called to do. But the other stuff, in terms of when they were more controversial, when it was like about someone's personal life, it just never felt right. But I just kept doing it because every time I would do the rebrand or every time I think especially when I would stop, there were times when I stopped and I'd be like, guys, I'm not doing it anymore, and then I'd stop and then I would notice that the channel dipping, people not really engaging, I'll go back. It's kind of like a relationship that you're not meant to be in. It's a relationship that you're not meant to be in, but there's some perks that keep pulling you back. Was it every time I try to leave, something keeps pulling me back, telling me I need you in my life. That was me and What's Trending. It was such a tug of war, like a tug and pull for many, many, many years. I've only done my brows and my eyeshadow. And like I said, I'm not doing anything too much. Look at me, and I went to put one bright orange on my eyelid. Okay, let's turn this down a little bit. That's how What's Trending felt for a long time. It took a while for me to finally get to that place where I had confidence in having timeless conversations outside of trends, or even if I was to talk about something that was like trending, not kind of branding it in terms of this is a gossip blog or I'm talking about just trending topics. I think it kind of took away something I was really brilliant at doing, which was having timeless conversations. I'm just going to do my lashes and then I'm going to carry on. Give me one moment, please. Who's saying, are you busy? My sister. Gosh. Beauty calls. Okay guys, I've done my lashes now and that's usually the hardest part of my makeup for me anyway. Right, where was I? Because my sister called me and I've just lost my train of thoughts completely. I was saying that it really took me a while to gain the confidence that I have right now. The confidence to kind of steer away from something that ultimately didn't feel right, even though it was doing well. And that can be such a dilemma, guys. When something looks right to everybody on the outside. I remember every time I would take a break, I'd have friends and family that would say, but Mo, you're so good at this. There's no Christians in that space doing trending topics the way you do, and they'd always remind me that you're not slandering anybody, you're always very positive, always very nuanced. So I'd go back, that kind of thing. So I'd have friends and family and even my subscribers that would be like, I don't see this as a gossip site. They would say they see it more like commentary. Muti ba makeup me je. I was meant to do MoChunks color corrector first. So it's like we're going to have to do a mix-up. Yeah, I'd have even my subscribers telling me that, Mo, I don't see this as like a gossip blog. I don't see this as gossiping. I see this more as commentary. And that's how it was. But then it's like sometimes that attachment, it can be really difficult to detach yourself from it. Because I remember sometimes I'll meet people and they'll be like, oh, the queen of hot topics, or the UK's Wendy Williams. And it's like there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you want to do. But I see myself more on the Oprah side, more on the Issa Rae side. So that was quite difficult to navigate in terms of what people wanted for me. Even what I wanted for myself, I wanted to do well, but then it not feeling right deep down in my soul. I hope I haven't put too much foundation on. Less is always more for me. So, a slight segue. This is something I've probably spoken about on my channel before. As I've been growing, there's been a bit of confusion about how I wanted to segment my content. And 2021, I believe it was, really helped me to see that, I myself am a content creator. In and of myself, I like to have personal conversations on my channel. Hey, this lash is opening up. I like to have personal conversations on my channel, as well as have a show, as well as have MCTV content, but all of them seem to be merged into one at some point, and that caused a lot of confusion and internal conflict. But I'm really, really glad 2022 is a year that I've gained so much clarity about this thing I'm doing and these things that I'm building. And I was reminded of all these chit chats that I used to do on this channel. Although I used to brand it as a show, again, like I said, a lot of confusion about what I wanted to do. But in there were these like personal conversations away from the debates that kind of got lost in the soup as I evolved from MoChunks to the MoChunks show to MoChunks TV. But I'm glad that I see clearly now the differences in what I'm trying to do. So you've probably been noticing I've been uploading more conversations on this channel, like personal conversations, advice videos, like I used to do when I first started YouTube. If not for that confusion of I want to do a show as well, and now my show, those conversations are more debate style, or when I do interviews with celebrities, or when I have guests come on to tell deep stories, like, the interview that I had with Kanayo, conversation that I had with Kanayo. If there's one thing I'm really, really grateful for this year in 2022, it's clarity of vision and the things that I want to do. But anyway, jumping back into the conversation about trending topics, it took a lot of confidence, like it takes, to move away from a relationship that's not for you, or a job that's not for you that you know deep down, or a place that's not for you that you know deep down. Took a lot of confidence to be like, away from what people are saying I should be doing or what they prefer me to be doing, I had to just be confident to move away from being tied down by trending topics and moving into timeless conversations. And that's what I call it. When I was having meetings with Agnes, who produces my show, I was like, I really want to have timeless conversations. I don't want my content to be determined by the trends. In fact, I want to be a trendsetter, in a sense of I want my ideas to spark conversations, not that the trends dictate the conversations that I'm having. I hope that makes sense. It was like a little mindset shift. That why can't you think of ideas that people will want to talk about and engage in? Why are you just relying on what's happening this week and that week and this week? And interestingly enough, moving away from trending topics and going into timeless conversations actually suits where I'm at right now in terms of my personal growth and evolving into a woman that is very intentional about doing her best to have a good work-life balance. So one thing about trending topics is that I had to, as soon as something happened, grab my camera, film, do all the research, edit, upload it on the same day or latest the day after. That was a lot, guys. I don't know how I used to do that thing. Energy goddess. I don't know how. I guess it was just the season that I was in. You're always graced for the season that you're in. So that's how I used to move. I used to be very, very fast paced. You know, uploading multiple times in the week. I tried. But now I'm in a space where I like to take life a lot slower. I'm just not with the hustle and bustle of life anymore and moving too quickly. You know, as you get older, you have responsibilities, you have relationships that you want to nurture. You don't want to be glued to your screen or glued to the work that you do creatively. You actually want to make time and space for living and being. And it's so beautiful that having timeless conversations allows me to do that. In terms of my workflow, I am now able to, bulk film if I want to. I'm able to, work more when I create content more when I have energy, as opposed to, something is trending or I must forego my health and well-being to ensure that video goes up. It's a very, very fast-paced life, even away from what it feels like in your soul. It's a very fast-paced way of creating content that sometimes was actually quite difficult for me to keep up with. I saw one tip that every time you put something that's like liquid on your face, set it with a setting powder. I should have brought a fan. You want a bamba? You want to G with the big boys? You say you don't want to get in trouble, that you don't find cause you... Apparently it helps to set even before you put your setting powder. I always like to try things and see how they work. So yeah, I would say timeless conversation suits me more. Like today now, I'm filming about 2 to 3 videos in bulk ready for the month ahead. And that helps me in terms of balancing. I currently work part-time. Balancing content with my part-time role. But if I had to do what's trending, whew. I don't wanna break your little bubble, but you gotta wait. Another thing I was saying recently to my friends and family in regards to this topic. When people say things to me like when people used to say things to me like, Mo, you're very kind when you speak on these topics. And you add nuance and you're not mean like most, gossip sites or whatever. I kind of said to myself, okay, imagine you're going through something and you're like a public figure. Do you really care if someone spoke nicely or harshly? Or is it about that situation that you didn't want to get out in the first place? Would you really care? Or is it the fact that everyone is talking about it that hurts you? Of course, the mean ones will feel a lot harsher. But still, even if it's a kind person that did a video, that's still one more video about your very private situation that you hoped wouldn't get out, or you hoped the whole world wouldn't be speaking about. Even if our neighbor alone is talking about what we're going through, we feel some type of way. Imagine the entire world. Those are the things. It really was hurting me even as I was doing it. I had so much empathy, but it was so hard to get out of. But I'm glad I, braved it. I think it was in season 10 of the show that I slowly started to move. We have had 12 seasons of the show. The latest season is on a new channel. So I've moved my show to its own channel. That's all part of like gaining clarity in the things I wanted to do as well, which I'm super proud of myself for. These people might be right, so this is not creasing at all. My under eye likes to crease. Wow. But what was I saying? It was in season 10 of the show that I believe I really started to steer away from trending topics, and this time around I didn't make a big fuss about it. I didn't say, oh, I'm not going to do it anymore, You know, then once sometimes you make noise about what you want to do because you want people to advise you towards the other side, or you're just waiting for someone to validate you. So this time around I just validated myself, made a decision, and just started moving more into timeless conversations, and I started seeing views going up again in that season. I believe is it 2021 or 2020? 2020, late 2020, started to see some serious views, and it was like, aha, Mo, timeless conversations, get into it. And then this year as well, returning back to me also having these nice cozy chats with you guys. It's just been so heartwarming, coming back to myself. This powder wants to spoil my shoe. Bye to BJ. Yeah, from season 10 I was still doing it small. Season 11 I really moved in and just didn't look back, away from, the voices and, expectations. And it's been received really well. Yeah, it's been received really well, which has made my heart warm. I don't see anybody still saying to me, why don't you do trending topics anymore? Or I don't see anyone still calling me Queen of Hot Topics. Queen of Conversation. I love conversation, guys. I love a chit chat. And one thing I'll forever advise creatives is don't ever box yourself in something that you don't want to be known for, as in your legacy, because it matters. The other day as well, I went on my channel. Oh, let's bring this up. I went on my channel and made all the what's trending videos private. That's like one step. That's like step one. The first time I went on it and I wanted to make those videos private, or I wanted to delete the videos, I couldn't do it. I was like, oh, but this is still my work, still some emotional attachment. Do you know what I mean? So the second time around I went and I made it private, and hopefully, eventually, I will remove them completely. Well, just depending on how we go. I just didn't want it to be a part of my legacy anymore. And even if you noticed as well, when I did my recap of like the journey so far, I didn't include what's trending in those clips. I don't mind, in that season where we were in the studio with Chris and Bello, we did what's trending on COTS, where we had actual conversations. I left those up because those were actual conversations, not about trending topics or about a particular situation someone was going through or a particular thing. If I was to ever bring it back, there would be some things that would change. I don't see myself doing it right now because, like I said, it's a very fast-paced thing to do, especially on YouTube, filming, editing, and all that great stuff. Number one, I would have to have a team. And then number two, I would focus on positive news. So a team to help with the production side of things. And then positive news to kind of stick with what feels right in my soul. Because I remember I came across one, I came across one page on Instagram, Your Positive News. I think that is so beautiful. Funny enough, when I was kind of healing from like bad relationships and stuff, I followed one page called Positive Images for Me and You, and on there's black love, there's family, and that was really helping me to like reshape. There was black success. It was really helping me to reshape some of the limitations that I had placed on myself. And when I saw that Your Positive News, I was like, this is really heartwarming. And also bringing it back to that scenario that kind of helped me make decisions to move away from trending topics, especially the negative side or the negative news style, was I asked myself, if something good was happening in my life and I'd, told it as a testimony, would I not want the world to know? And that just reshapes everything. Like if something bad was going on in my life and it was private and I hadn't told anyone, I wouldn't want it getting out. I wouldn't want people discussing it. But if I was telling a testimony and I shared it personally, because sometimes another thing that news blog sites do, another thing that news, sorry, I'm talking so fast. Another thing that news sites do as well is that sometimes they tell good news on behalf of people when they're not ready to share. The media industry, is such a messy place, and it can change even those that want to be good. So the caveat there is, they've shared, they want the world to know, see what the Lord has done, the good thing that's going on in their life. That makes sense as a news site for me. That's if I was to ever bring it back. But right now, in my view, I'd rather just focus on timeless conversations. We're nearly done with our makeup. Like I said, I wasn't really doing too much. Just a quick look. I feel like there was something else that was literally just in my brain, but it's popped out. What we waited for has come to pass. See what it's done. Let's do our blush. In your eyes, your head is full. Speaking of how messy the news industry can get, one of the things I hate about how the media handles news is how they announce deaths sometimes. Loads of sites jump in to be the first one to say that somebody has passed away or someone's family member has passed away. So much so that some family members, they find out on social media. No, that industry, not the kindest for the kind-hearted, if that makes sense. If you're someone that has empathy, you might struggle. And of course, I've made mistakes. I've definitely made mistakes, especially when I first started. Like I said, we had many rebrands because it just wasn't feeling right. There was times when I was mean. Oh no, it just wasn't me. It wasn't me. I remember I sent some apologies to some people that I was mean to on my show. Some of them, I don't know if some of them received it, but I did my best to send some apologies because just looking back, and it was those people egging me on in the comments. It can gas you up to do some things, but of course, personal responsibility. I was the one that did it. I think my face is pretty much done. Let's do some highlighter. I do miss my term though, yelebrity. I think I'll still keep using it, but for like maybe when I have interviews on my show. So I'm interviewing this yelebrity today, or I'm talking about good things. And as I'm speaking, something that's coming to mind is just because something is good doesn't mean it's God. That's one bar I used to say a lot in my early chatty videos. Just hold on to that. Some things may be working, but it doesn't mean it's what's meant to be your legacy. Yes, I think we're done. So I'm just going to do my lips now. And then I'm going to wear my outfit of the day, OOTD. This is why I say less is more. Sometimes when I try to do too much with my makeup, it ends up looking like a hot mess. This is the way I've been doing my lips recently, guys. I use my concealer like that. So add this one as well. So whatever you use under your eyes, I saw this tip on TikTok. Whatever you use under your eyes, use it on your lips. Put it together. It will look a bit messy initially, but keep going. And then what I personally do is I put like a pinky nudie lip gloss on top.
There's so many ways to be happy.
And then you have your perfect nude. This is wonderful. Who is wonderful? It's Jesus. It's Jesus. Oh, wonderful. That is super brilliant. I might do a slight contour on my cheeks because I love how it looks.
You can do whatever you like. You don't have to be ready. You just gotta trust the right.
Fundabidoza. Oh, this is a look. This is a look. Let's just grab some bronzer as well, just to warm it up a bit.
You don't have to be scary. You just gotta follow.
Oh yes, I am feeling this. I have no idea what I'm going to do with my hair today, but let me go do my hair and then show you my complete look. Okay, lovely people, that's me all done with my face, hair and makeup. I've also worn my outfits of the day as well. And just to round off, guys, I think it's very, very important for me to say you have to be, as you're growing in whatever you're growing in, even just growing through life, you have to be very intentional and you have to be brave enough to go with what feels right for you and not, people's visions of you. Like I said, pivoting away from trending topics and moving more into timeless conversations wasn't always received well, but I eventually made the decision to go with the flow of where I believe I'm being called to. And it's very important as well because nobody knows you better than yourself, so they won't know what's right for you completely. I'm not saying you can't take advice from people, and also no one eavesdrops on the conversations that you have with God about who you are and where you're going. Only you can be privy to those conversations and those visions and those dreams that God is downloading to you. Only you are able to see the fullness of what it is and what it's not. Whilst it's good to listen to advice, you also need to know who you are and who God says you are. And I mentioned legacy a lot in this video, and I think legacy is so important. The things we do, both in private and in public, it's all building a legacy and our eventual end point. Because when I look at the likes of, like I mentioned, people used to say I'm like the UK Wendy Williams at the time when I used to do trending topics a lot, and I knew it didn't fit with what I wanted my legacy. Not just my legacy that I'm building, but also my end points. It's an amazing thing that a lot of media personalities have gone ahead of me. So I'm able to pick from their stories, inspiration as to, the process that they had to go through. And also, I'm also privileged enough to see some of the end points as to when they finally retired and they looked back, or where they're at right now at the end of their careers. And I'm like, what do I want my end to look like? When I compare it to certain personalities, I'm like, no, I'd rather end up like this than that. And a lot of people think karma is not real. Trust me, I used to believe karma was not real as well. But as I've gotten older, I wouldn't necessarily say it's karma. I think the energy you give out into the world definitely comes back to you somehow. It might not be directly in the direction that you poured out the energy into, but somehow I feel like the things you build up for yourself eventually come tumbling back down on you. And if that's goodness, it's goodness. I'm not saying you won't have hardships in life or difficulties or the ups and downs that come with life, but generally, if it's goodness, usually goodness comes back. If you're someone that you've caused havoc in people's lives, usually somehow it comes back. And I don't know whether that's called karma, but I think if you're still someone that's out there thinking that karma is not real and people don't usually get back, what they've put out, you haven't sat down enough, or you haven't sat down long enough with people to have conversations with them about the results of some of the things they put out there into the world. And not people won't broadcast their karma, people will not broadcast, the results, or you haven't sat with them long enough to suss out the results and the fruits of the seeds they planted all those many, many, many years ago. So yeah, we have to be so careful about the things we put out there into the world, and I think it's never too late to pivot. There was another lady like that, I think it was Nicole, XONecole. She runs XONecole now, and she used to run Nicole B, and I'm not saying that I was doing it as harshly as she was, but she also came to this realization, and she moved more into like empowerment and positive stuff for women, and that story was actually quite inspirational for myself. But anyway, guys, without rambling on too much, here is my final look. I'm glad I've gotten to a place of clarity with my vision and also confidence to walk in the direction and in the right path for me, away from what looks like it's working or not working. But yeah, guys, I really hope you enjoyed this conversation, this Get Ready with me. Do make sure you like this video if you liked it, share it with your friends, comment below on the things I spoke about, and subscribe to this channel for more. Until next time, guys, peace and love. Peace and chunks.